Veganism versus vegetarianism. Something that my fiance and I talk about a lot is the issue of vegans and vegetarians. There are a lot of differences between the two, yet there are still similarities. In short, for anyone who doesn't know, vegetarianism does not permit one to eat or buy animal flesh. For example, vegetarianism does not permit hamburger meat, beef broth, fish, chicken, shellfish, or insects. Veganism does not permit one to eat any type of animal product or animal byproduct. For example, veganism does not permit cow's milk, ingredients derived from cow's milk, bees' honey, ivory, leather, and all the other things that fall under the umbrella of vegetarianism, as well as shrunken human heads. Nice to know, eh? Now, as I've said before, and I'll say it again, I don't really define myself as a vegan. I mean, yes, I am, but that's not the first term I would use to classify myself. To me, veganism is just a logical sequence of choices that I have to make given the evidence that I've been presented on the treatment of animals and all types of animal agriculture, and my beliefs on personal freedom and its inherent benefits to all life on this planet. Therefore, let me resume by clearly stating that this is my opinion on the contrast between vegetarianism and veganism from an ethical standpoint. If you're interested in the health debate, please look for a different video. There are many others that can explain that far better than I can. My passion is the ethical debate, so that's what I'm going to stick with here. To some, these differences may not look like much, but to others, like myself, they are pretty enormous. Now, I realize that when compared to a typical American lifestyle, a vegetarian and a vegan lifestyle look pretty similar to each other. However, from an ethical point of view, they're very contrasting. If someone decides to just go vegetarian for ethical purposes, let's say they just don't want to support the animal abuse ever present in animal agriculture, then I think just being a vegetarian is almost pointless from a logical standpoint. And I say it's pointless because simply being vegetarian will continue to support a very large wing of the animal agriculture industry, which cannot continue to help but to abuse animals as they take the animals' milk, newborns, honey, and eggs. Theoretically, I guess I could envision a circumstance where eggs from a companion chicken could be gathered humanely, but those circumstances are so few and would offer humans such little nourishment that it seems rather petty to argue in favor of the practice. It's kind of like letting a notorious alcoholic have a couple shots of his or her favorite whiskey while they're trying to recover from alcoholism. Just let it go already! A lot has been made within the vegan community that the animal agriculture industry takes advantage of the female body. While I don't disagree with that, as a male, I like to also point out the male side of it and some of the practices that vegetarianism permits. Semen collection. Yes, that's right. It's America's favorite pastime. Semen collection. Now, I have no problem with homosexuality, as long as it's consensual. When it's not consensual, what do we call it? Artificial insemination? No, that's not it. Oh yeah, that's called rape. The plight of the cows is relatively well known, as they are put in these devices that are literally called rape racks. What do we think happens when someone goes into a rape rack? Do you think the rack gets raped? If you didn't know that, and you're a vegetarian, for ethical purposes, then I shouldn't really need to say anything more to you from here on out. You should just be vegan at this point. There's no reason for you to continue just being a vegetarian. But not only are the cows raped, but male cattle are raped too, the bulls and the steers. I'll link a couple of videos so I can provide what I'm about to describe here, because if someone just told me this a few years ago, I also would have never believed them. Basically, for economic reasons, it makes more sense for certain sectors of the animal agriculture industry to specialize in certain areas. One of those sectors collects semen, aka immobilizes steers, aka male cattle that have had their testicles removed, in a position to where they are mounted by a bull, a male cattle that still has its testicles, at the encouragement of the humans. As the bull is getting excited, one of the humans will then place an artificial vagina over the penis of the bull. And that's meant to mimic, obviously, a vagina and to ultimately collect all the semen. In my world, call me crazy, immobilizing someone to have him or her humped is at best sexual assault and would probably be more appropriately termed rape. As far as humans intentionally gathering semen from a bull's penis, that also seems like rape, since a bull wasn't trying to have sex with that human, or as far as I can tell, normally no other humans. Let's say you saw some male having sex with their significant other, and just as the male was about to have an orgasm, someone ran into the room, grabbed their penis with some device that was meant to mimic a human vagina, then collect the semen, then run out of the room, and then sell it on the open market so that it could go to someone else who could be strapped down and then have that semen shoved inside of their vagina. I don't know. If that's not rape, then nothing is fucking rape anymore. You can literally do anything, and then we could just call it something fucking stupid. Artificial insemination. No, that's not rape. Come on, man. Certainly there are some farmers out there that actually still have bulls and cows having sex in a more picturesque old McDonald's farm setting. But unless you've seen it with your own two eyes, that's probably not how it all went down. Odds are those eggs and cheese that you bought last night at the grocery store came about through a series of rapes. Maybe some vegetarians out there don't mind rape though. There are countless other issues too. Baby male calves being slaughtered because dairy cows don't give birth to male calves that can compete with calves that are bred specifically to become big cuts of steak and hamburger. The overall confinement and treatment of dairy cows and hens. The ridiculously short lifespans of dairy cows and hens. The extreme neglect and or abuse that baby male chicks have to endure if they're unlucky enough to be born. The overall confinement and treatment of the males used for semen collecting, the roosters, bulls, steers. And perhaps the biggest injustice of all is the way these practices all in some way strip these animals of perhaps the most satisfying and important process that they would have ever gone through had they not been born in the animal ag industry. That's parenting. Chickens and cattle have evolved to a point where they can best provide, protect, and teach their children how to survive. But we step right in and we deny all of that to them. Chickens often never see their own chicks with their own eyes, and dairy cows may only get to nurse their babies once, twice, or maybe not even at all before having them taken away forever. We know, as living sentient beings, just like they are, that there are some things far worse than death. And I thought the whole point was to avoid death if you're a vegetarian. Just imagine having your children taken away from you and being completely powerless to stop it. I mean, a lot of parents, they would downright tell you that they would rather die than to have something like that happen to their children. I don't see why we assume that cows and chickens don't feel the same way. Vegetarianism permits this to happen. I ask all those who are currently vegetarian, for ethical reasons, to take one last but crucial step to veganism. You've made it this far. You're strong if you're a vegetarian. Just take one last step. I'm not asking you to do it for me or for my ego. I'm not trying to prove anyone wrong. I'm not trying to make anyone look bad. I don't care about that. I'm asking on behalf of the animals who are locked away on farms and have no idea when or if they or their children or their children's children or their children's 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 children all forever will ever be free of the torment that they currently are forced to endure. Thanks.